starting early, Eleanor.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you, Todd.
You got it.
My
All right.
husband's name is Todd,
Aw.
so I look fondly on you.
It's a good name.
Is it Todd? He's from Jersey.
great
Don't
name.
get him excited.
Okay.
Look at him.
Sorry,
Gross.
Todd. All right.
Thank you. So this is so exciting. All right, I'm going to try not to be a creepy fangirl.
Not at all.
Yes, I am. This is one of my favorite comics in
Oh
the
my
whole wide
God!
world.
Stop it,
Guys, I know I always talk about her. She's finally on the Comedy Store podcast, and I am so excited. Miss Carole Montgomery.
Oh my God! You're like, I'm like, are you sure
You're
you
like, are
mean
you?
Carole Montgomery? I mean,
Yes,
me? Oh
yes.
my God, that's so weird.
This is like such a big deal for me. Like, honestly, I remember like working and you would do this bit. Please, if I fuck this up, I know
Okay.
I'm not going to do it justice, but it was about doggy style and how men invented it.
Yes.
Somebody told a man you could have a boy if you fuck doggy style.
Yes, that's. And then the guy.
I literally be crying like, this lady talks like me. She's fucking hilarious.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I mean, I'd just be waiting tables. I had no interest in being a comic. I just
you talked
truly
to.
appreciated a real voice.
And you know what's so funny about that? Like nowadays, it's not. It's fine. Like it's not what. But
Sure.
back then,
Yeah.
oh my God, I got so much shit for the way I talked.
Absolutely.
I mean, like it was like, you really shouldn't talk that way, Carole. Women don't talk that way. I'm like, fuck you.
Fuck yeah, we do.
Well, yeah, but back then, gee,
Right.
nobody was. It was such a hard road to be able to just. And I would say to people, I'm not saying fuck to just say fuck. I'm from Brooklyn, okay? So, I'm from Brooklyn. That's how we talk.
That's how we. Yeah, and I'm from South Philly, and we.
That's
say
how you
fuck.
fucking talk.
It's how the fuck we say things.
Yes, exactly. So it's interesting that you said that because I remember and I forgot who the comic was, but he complained. I guess I was before I was headlining, and he called up the guy that was booking me, and he said, "She's terrible. I can't follow her. Okay, she was so dirty." And I was like, maybe it was because I was better than you.
Absolutely.
But they always will do that. They'll always pull the dirty card for a woman.
Absolutely.
You're too dirty. I can't follow you. No, you can't follow me because I'm better than you.
That's right. That's
So,
exactly right.
Fuck you. All right.
What year did you start doing?
Oh.
All right, you don't have to say the year, but how?
I was 1981
Wow. In New York, in Brooklyn.
in Brooklyn.
Like
actually,
Pips and all that shit?
at Pips.
Okay.
I have a great story about Dice
Yes.
too. So, but quickly, I was doing some. I didn't know when I was 79, so I was 21. I knew I wanted to do something in show business. Like I
Okay.
loved theater, so I was actually doing summer stock, and I was a techie. I was doing the lights and
Sure.
painting.
Any way you can get in.
Right.
Yeah.
And the guys that I was working with, the lighting designers, and they said, you're really quick. You should be a comedian. And now, back then, it's going to be hard for you to understand this. There were not a lot of comedians, so there was no.
Right.
There wasn't. So I was like, what does he mean? So I didn't even know. So I was like watching. I would watch Johnny Carson because they were like, well, you have to write a monologue, and I'm like, you mean like an acting monologue? Like it was like just
Right.
a weird thing. And then I saw Freddie Prinze
Oh.
on the Tonight Show, and then I went. Oh. And so I started writing. So I didn't actually start stand up till 80, I think, was it 81? No, actually, I'm sorry. It was 80.
Okay.
Okay. It was 1980 because this year was my 40th year.
Wow. Congrats. Whoa.
Hey.
No, that's awesome,
No,
though.
it is. But if you would have told me when I was a young 21-year-old girl
Right.
that you'd be still doing this in 40 years in a fucking basement because everything is in a basement.
Everything's in a basement.
Everything's in a fucking basement.
The
But
most
yeah.
fun is in a basement.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's that. So yeah. So that's how I started. And then with Pips, I knew Andrew
Okay.
when he was Andrew Silverstein.
Right.
So he.
I mean, he still is.
he
but-
is Andrew Silverstein. But like I always.
he only went on as Andrew Silverstein.
Oh yes.
At that point.
So
yeah.
so when I tell people that story, I said, Andrew Silverstein is one of the best impressionists ever.
Right, and that's how he started with his
Right.
impressions.
And people go, Dice was an impressionist. I said, Dice was one of his fucking impressions. And people.
it was an impression.
Yeah, it was
that
his-
took off.
That took off. And,
Yeah.
and then that's it. But I remember that. It was me, Dice, Richie Jenny.
Oh yeah.
Richie Jenny was there too.
Richard-
Like
oh,
at
he's so
Pips.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah. And Richie, and this is so
He's from Philly.
he was such a great guy.
Yeah.
And when I first met Richie, he was this little short guy.
Yep.
He was wearing like polyester suits. He was such a Guido. And he used to hit on me all the time. And
The
this is-
smaller they are, the more Guido they are.
Yeah, very Guido-esque. And he
And they love a tall Irish girl. Are you Irish?
I'm not. I'm Jewish.
Jewish.
But,
Okay.
I have big tits, so I think.
But you have light skin, light
Yeah.
features.
Yeah, so I could.
So
I could,
people
I could pass when the Nazis
people
come.
think I'm Jewish.
Yes,
all the
I
time.
thought you
Jewish
were.
or Puerto Rican is what I
Wow.
get. Yeah,
A
I love
light-skinned
it.
Puerto Rican. But
When
so
my
anyway,
hair is curly.
So he used to, and he was terrible. He was a horrible comic. I know that's hard because
amazing. No.
so and I tell the story because I teach stand up sometimes in the city. I always tell the story. I said so he was horrible. He was just hitting on all the women. There weren't a lot of us.
Sure.
3 years later, I happen to walk in to Catch Rising Star, and I hear somebody crushing, and I walk in. It was Richie Jennings. So
wow. They
that-
figure it out. If they stick to it, they figure
Right.
it out.
Yes, it had, but but I'm telling you, he was. I'd never seen that transformation. But he worked every single night,
Yeah.
every night.
The one we had here that did that was Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yes, yeah,
And when I first saw Sebastian's showcase and Mitzi passed him and she gave me the sheet with a check next to his name and I went, bitch, how high are you?
Right, absolutely.
What pills did you take? And she would give him spot, and the spots would get later and later, 1 a.m., belly room. She put him back there for a bit, back, forth, just develop. And he was on every night.
Right.
He figured it out.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It takes the time, but you have to commit.
You have to commit to it.
Yeah.
This is not like there's, and I'm sure that you talk to other veterans about this too, because you're a veteran yourself now. And
13 years this month.
yes, exactly. But
You think I'll get to 40? No.
Huh?
You think I'll get to 40?
You might.
No way.
That's
I'll be dead within the hour.
Oh
no
my God.
way.
Okay,
No
listen,
way.
okay.
I
So then
can't.
I'll be taking over the podcast.
sorry.
I'm going to be moving
Yeah,
back to
please.
Los Angeles, and I'll be taking over.
You and Rick would be great together.
The problem with the comedians that are coming up now is they want it to be yesterday. They don't want to put the time in.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know
That's
if
a good way
that's
to put it. I like that.
I
They
don't know if
want
it's like it.
Yeah.
Is it like that here? Because in New York, it's very much that way.
Sure. I mean, they're excited. What I do like about we have a lot of great young comics upstairs.
Right.
And and everywhere I work, I meet a new comic
Right.
that's really like that. I'm like, wow, they're really putting the work in. Like millennials get a bad rap. They don't work. They don't this. They don't whatever. And I make fun of them too because it's fun. But at the same time, I've noticed that they're really looking up to people and putting the work in.
That's
So
good.
at least the ones that I've met.
That's great.
Especially working the door here, they like know who they look up to this person. They're like
Right.
trying to model after this person. But some of them are like, I should be famous already. And I'm like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't just
No.
come like that.
No, it takes.
I mean, look around. Sebastian was, I don't know, he just started his success, right? And
Right.
he's probably 20 years in easily,
Yeah, easily.
if
Well,
not more.
Pete
I don't know.
Davidson was another one because but Pete Davidson, he was he for lack of a better word, cute isn't the right word, but I understood why people were like, oh, he's
Yeah, but he was funny, yeah.
at the beginning he was more personality, let's say. So
Okay.
and so it just so happened that I hadn't seen him for a while, and we were working together in some small room in Queens. And after the set, I went in to watch because I was on X and I went in to watch. And after the set, because he was he's afraid of me because I probably reminded me of his mom. And I went, come here, and he's like, oh, what did I do now? I said, you got strong. He goes, really? I did.
See,
I
that's
said,
a big deal coming from you. I'd be
I
like,
said, you got strong because he was working four sets a night. If you're going to do that,
you will develop,
right?
or you won't, and then you need to quit.
Yeah. Well, yes, lots of you. But
Please.
what's interesting is, like, for me, I can tell you this 40 years in. I was just talking because I'm very lazy. Because like I always say to people, I'm not, why do I have to go out and do spots? My timing's pretty there.
On.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mean now?
Now.
But you weren't lazy in the beginning.
No. In the beginning, I was.
No.
I was.
Yeah.
But now, but it just so happened last weekend I ended up doing like 3 or 4 spots like over the weekend, and I was like, I need to do this again. Like I need to be
I
out
feel that. Yeah.
just for the
rush.
Yeah, and figuring out new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it does help figuring
my
out because like I did last night. I did the main room, right? It was packed. It was Sam Tripoli's Chaos Show. And it was packed. And the main room packed is beauty.
Oh, yes, it is.
The main room, when I normally go on, like, they put me on late, which is fine. I'll take the spot, but it's empty. It's half empty. So it's a little bit of a harder get. The OR half empty,
yeah,
it's still fun.
Right.
But the main room is too big to be half empty.
Yeah.
So it's a struggle. But so I absolutely had a fantastic. I wanted to stay up there. Like I wanted to live there and never move. And then I was like, all right, I got to go. And I had another show down the street at a bar, a new bar show that my friend is trying to push, and no one was listening. And I'm like screaming at these people. I'm like, what am I doing with my phone? I was just on the main room stage.
Right.
But yelling and then messing with those people and trying to get their attention, I came up with a new bit. And even though it was one new bit, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because you're forced to figure something out.
Right.
It's not every crowd's going to be a tit crowd that you could just win over and they're there for comedy. Sometimes we interrupt people at a bar. Sorry. but I'm sorry, were you eating?
Yeah,
listen to this, motherfucker.
Exactly. But what's fun, what's so great about it, I love hearing that because there is nothing for me when I'm having, even if it's like you said, like it's 2 people or it's 6 people or they're not paying attention. That's when all your synapses are doing all that. So I even said to my husband, I said, I know I always joke around and say I'm lazy and and I hate going out, but I really have to start going out more because I can't keep doing the same shit, like the same material.
Right.
And there's other things I want to talk about.
That's another thing about you that I noticed, and I didn't realize till later. Mm-hmm. Waiting tables here work every night, so you see every act.
Right.
You're suicidal most of the time. And I never knew film comedy really. Like I saw, my mom took me to see Seinfeld, I think, when I was 19.
Right.
And then I moved out here when I was 21. So I knew Seinfeld. I liked the show, cool, but I didn't really like follow stand up. I knew Pryor, of course, Eddie Murphy. My brothers would play dice in the basement because we weren't allowed to play it upstairs. My mother would flip out. So I knew that they were listening to shit, but I never got into it. And then I came here and watching every night, and then just being floored by you and Judy. And you and Judy did something that not a lot of the rest of the comics did. You switched up your stuff, and me and I became close with Paul Mooney, and who another one who you couldn't recite, and I came up with this thing: if I could recite a comic, then they're not doing their job,
right?
Because it's just habitual,
right?
And they have an act, and like there were certain comics I'd be like, then like that's where he says this, or
here comes the sandwich joke.
Let me put the drink down because the punchline comes in a second.
Wow.
Like I had it to a fucking science.
Wow.
But with you guys, I couldn't do that. Like there was Dom Irera, there was you, there was Mooney, there was Judy, and you guys are the only ones that I remember changing your stuff up.
Right.
I was like, oh, they don't have an act.
Right.
Because there was one comic, a few, but this one guy, I remember one night, nobody was here. And they were like, we're going to have him stretch. And the manager goes, what's he going to do, start over? I was like,
oh, my God, that's brutal.
Yes.
But you see,
that might have to happen.
That's a very sweet compliment because, for me, it's because I would get bored.
Exactly. And you would think an audience would get bored,
right.
too.
Right. So I would get bored. So, and you'll love this story. So when I was in Crazy Girls in Vegas, so I'd come out at the beginning of the show, they'd do their first number, then I'd come out and welcome everybody. But then I would do 10 minutes. And no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Crazy Girls, it was Midnight Fantasy, it was the other one.
Oh. Is that in Vegas as well?
That was also in Vegas. And they were so used to they knew when they knew my last bit.
Okay.
So they'd show up then. So just to fuck with them, one night I opened with my last bit.
Nice.
And you heard them. They sounded like fucking cows running on the stage because they were like, "She's getting off!" And I just thought, it's like, are you morons? I just got on stage, but I did it to fuck with them.
I love that.
Oh, it was great.
Keep them on their toes.
Oh yeah, and then behind the curtain, you can't. The audience couldn't hear me, but you could hear them going, "We're gonna get you." Fuck you, Carole. It was so great. But yeah, I mean, like I in the last. Excuse me, in the last maybe 5 years, I've gotten a little lazier in general. Just you know.
I think you've earned a little bit of laziness. No, I mean, okay. So wait, you started Pips in '80s. Why'd you leave New York?
Because
I just think that's the mecca for.
Well, okay, because there was back in the day, like there was you followed certain unwritten rules.
Okay.
Okay, so I started at Pips, then I got past To Catch a Rising Star.
Okay.
And then they weren't really giving me a lot of spots. So I ended up at this tiny little room called Who's on First on 61st and First Avenue.
Ooh.
It's now a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes, I know the area well.
Right, like 2 blocks away from Dangerfields. And there was a gentleman, and there was also a comedy club in the basement.
Okay.
And he, his name was Peter Spellos, and he was my mentor, and he gave me spots every week, and he gave me what that type of
that
nurturing.
kind of love. Yeah.
So I was there. So I worked on my act, and so from there, what would happen back in those days is you'd get your act, and then you'd go out and you'd MC the Jersey gigs, because that was the only
to make
thing
money.
To make money.
Got it.
And then you'd move into featuring, and then headlining. I'm sure that I did a lot of featuring and all that stuff, but at some point I became a headliner.
Right.
And then the rule was once you started working on the road, you had to move to LA to get TV spots.
Right. And then Carson moved out here.
Right.
So that became the right.
So I moved out here. My best friend was living out here, and she said, "You really should come out here." So I moved out here. Actually,
what year? Okay.
What year did I move out here?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah, you were thinking of that.
I was trying to figure it out. You know when it was? It was 32 years ago. Because
okay.
my niece, I remember my oldest niece was just born.
That's how I do mine. My nieces were born when I moved here. 2 of my nieces, and they were like, you left us. I was like,
right, exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because she's never forgiven me either. My niece.
Right.
Because she's like, "Why did you leave?" I said, "I figured your mom would take care of you. It's kind of her fucking job." But so it was 32 years ago. I'm trying to remember I think I was working at the Laugh Factory for a while.
Out here.
Okay. I didn't become a store act. I'm trying to remember. Sam
Kinison. Nice.
Introduced me to Mitzi years before that.
How'd you meet Sam? Just doing shows? I love that.
He was such a good guy. He was really a great guy.
He had some nutty moments, but I get it.
But he was
a lot of people that.
He was a decent guy.
Yeah.
He really was. So the way I met Sam Kinison is when I was a youngin' at Catch a Rising Star. We would wait, because Robin Williams brought him in.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we were all hanging out waiting to try to get on late night. And Robin goes on and does his stuff. And, everyone knew at that point, well, nobody's getting on tonight. And then he goes, "I want to bring on my friend Sam." And he cleared the room. Because he was Sam and nobody knew who he was yet.
And they didn't get it.
Oh, wow. So I did Jersey gigs with Sam. I did so many gigs with him. I mean, we would drive out together. I can't even remember who had the car because I didn't have a car. I'm assuming Sam didn't have a car. So
that's funny.
No, you know what it was? There used to be people, the gigs, the person who booked the gigs had a driver. They would pick you up at the old Improv.
Okay.
And they would drive you. And he would he cleared. I remember one time.
I didn't know Sam was in New York. Wow.
And he did. I remember one Jersey gig where people were they hated him.
He was
so
headlining.
much.
You were featuring.
Yes,
that's hysterical.
People were literally standing up and going, "You suck. We hate you," and they would leave, and we'd drive back well, that went well.
Yeah,
that went well.
You feel that?
Yeah. So So then he moved, he moved here. We were still friends. I ended up doing a straight to VHS special called Women Tell the Dirtiest Jokes.
Nice.
It was me.
So true, though.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was me, Marsha Warfield,
Whoa.
Barbara Scott. I don't know if you remember her. She was around for a while. Patty Rossborough, Judy Tenuta, Lois Bromfield.
Nice.
Okay.
Lois
So
is one of my favorites, too.
I called him. I must have called him on a regular phone and I remember saying to him, I'm coming out and I need to work on some stuff and, I need to work spots out and everything. He goes, I'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. And that's how he introduced me to Mitzi. And he came and held my hand while I taped this special.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But when he became famous, when people get that big.
Well, yeah. And it just gets different. They get different lifestyle.
Right.
And wildness. And
well, because you work with Andrew, so they don't change, but the people around them change.
Absolutely.
And I never ever wanted to be a person that when you're famous, you have to help me.
Right. Yeah. It's like they're responsible for and they're not. And that's not the way you should treat anyone, but it does happen. And I think a lot of times when people start getting things, like they might not change, but they also are like, too many people are asking. So I'm just going to stay over here.
Right.
I'm going to do my shit.
Right.
And just focus on, whatever, making a family or what, and then do their thing. But the Sam, I never got to meet.
Yeah.
He passed in 92, unfortunately. Yes. But Carole LeBeau, I knew very, very well.
Yeah.
Know very well.
Yeah.
And Carole did the podcast, and I thought they moved out from Houston together or Texas or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But so I forgot that I didn't know he went to New York first.
Yeah.
Because they came here and they were like basically homeless and sleeping in the main room and stuff, and then robbing people as they came in the OR, which was always fun. But I've heard amazing stories about Sam, and then I've heard horrible stories about Sam.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's, partying and shit like that.
Well, when you do that many drugs.
Yeah.
When you do that many drugs.
There's bound to be some kind of
I have to tell you this great.
But wait, did he get you a showcase here for Mitzi?
He got Mitzi to see me.
Wow.
But that
You're our first. Sam got us in the Comedy Store.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I have to be totally honest. I don't remember if that's when I passed. I think it was.
Okay.
Because that when we did that taping, it was before I moved here.
Okay. And you taped it in New York?
No, we taped it at the LA Cabaret in Encino.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember that club?
Of course.
Okay, so that's where we taped it. So I don't remember. One of the sweetest things, this is, I'm going to get a little choked up, but one of the sweetest things that we did, this is so silly. We were driving back. We must have been driving back from the Comedy Store.
You and Sam?
Me, Sam, and Carl. He was there too. And he says, I don't know if it was Sam or Carl who said, I think it was Sam who said, he goes, all right, so we're going up the 405 and we're about to hit the hill where you go in and you see all the valley. He goes, just, I want you to see something. Because this is one of the coolest views in
Hollywood.
In Hollywood,
yeah, whatever.
Is when you go up there and then you just see all the lights in the valley. And every time to this day, when I go over the 405, I think of Sam.
Oh,
because it's like I remember that,
There's the light.
But we're talking.
When LA was cool.
Yeah,
it wasn't so congested. It wasn't.
I know, but I still would rather be here than New York City. But that's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm over New York.
I'll switch.
Really? Okay, you can live with my husband and my mother-in-law.
Okay.
And my son who just moved back. Yay.
Yay. How old is your son?
28.
There you go.
So.
Millennials.
Well, I have a joke in my act. I said, ladies, all men want to go back to their original home.
Yes.
And I literally said to my son,
I like that you're pointing. Yes.
Right. I'm pointing to my vagina. And then, actually, we're on here.
Oh, yeah.
And
in there.
And the punchline is, I know you want to go back to your original home, but this is a studio. You need a 1-bedroom. You need to leave.
Yes, you got to get out now.
Yeah, it's his 4th time back. So anyway.
God bless him.
Oh.
My mom had 10 kids and she has 2 at home still.
Still? Are you kidding me? How old?
60 and 53, 2, something like that.
Seriously? I thought you were going to say 25.
No.
Have they ever left?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes. And then they came back, but I had an older sister who was pretty sick, and unfortunately she passed away. But they came to help. You know, it was like a help with my mom.
Right.
You know, my mom's not a kid, and she's a single mom. Like, so they moved in to help with my sister.
Right.
And then wound up not leaving. Oh wow. So it's kind of like they never married, so I'm not upset that they are there because my mom's 81.
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay, cool. So it's like they kind of take care of my mom.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And that's...
But boys don't take care of anything, just so you know that.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. Good luck with that. Yeah. You're still going to have to. She hung up on me today. She goes, I have to cook for Charlie's home. And I'm like, he's 50. Like,
oh my God. And is she still in Philly? Is she still in Philly? Oh.
Same rural home we grew up in.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
Yeah, she's so funny.
No, boys don't do anything.
Not a thing.
Literally.
Not a damn thing.
My son literally came home. He's 28 years old. He's been living with a girl for 2 years.
Okay.
I mean, and, moves back home. The first text I get back from him, is there any food in the house? No. Go get your own fucking food. Are you I haven't seen you in 2 years. Now you had a girlfriend who cooked for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They need that. And I think as mothers, they overdo it and they send these kids out there.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm totally I am one of the worst. I totally take full.
You're a Jewish mother.
I'm a Jewish mother. I take full responsibility for every millennial in the
guys.
United States. It's my fault.
I would have done the same. I got to be honest. Like I don't have kids. I've never got married, whatever. But my nieces and nephews,
right?
I'm like, can I? You know,
right.
And my niece comes to stay with me a lot. The one that there's two of them that were born 4 months apart.
Right.
When I first moved here.
Right.
And so one of them came to visit my sister's daughter, Alexa. She stayed with me for a while.
Oh, that's nice.
And we look a lot alike, like uncomfortably a lot alike. And everybody was like, "Oh my God, that's your daughter." And they were like, "You left your daughter? What kind of person?" I'm like, "Who would leave their kid?
You brought her here?"
Person, yeah. So we're upstairs, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's your daughter? That's ridiculous." I go, "She's my niece," and they're like, "No, you left your daughter." And I'm like, "That's crazy. It's my sister's kid. I remember her coming out. Like I know you forget your labor pains, but I would remember that."
I remember shitting a watermelon.
Yeah, hello.
Wow.
And I go, it's my niece, and they go, "You have the same overbite." I'm like, "I have an overbite?"
Oh.
That's until it became my. Wait, what? I was so pissed, but we do look a lot alike.
I still can't believe you brought your niece to the Comedy Store. So.
Oh yeah, but she's not a kid anymore. Okay. Now she's 27 now.
Oh my God,
yeah.
That is prime meat here in the Comedy Store.
Well, when she was coming out, she was 22.
Oh my God,
she right out of college or 23, whatever it is, and she came out. She was trying to live here for a while. She did like what is that when they study abroad, but you can do it within the States as well. Right. So they came. She was living with a bunch of girls from college right in the valley somewhere, and her and her friends would come see me perform in Vegas.
Oh, that's
and they would
nice.
stay in Dice's suite and feel like big kids.
Look,
so it was fun. Yeah, they were like, Annal's performing. She's a filthy mouth, but come see her.
Yeah, but I love that you're a filthy mouth.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I grew up talking, whatever. But that's what I say about you. Like when I saw you, I was like, this is a person that like speaks freely and speaks about real shit.
Right.
Like it's not like an act. Do you know what I mean? Like,
my
comics would do like an act.
Yeah.
And it was like I watched that start weeding out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like now, a lot of comics that were here back in the day,
right?
They'll come back and they'll be like, I used to get spots here all the time. I'm like, that's awesome. They're like, I should get spots here. My name's on the wall. And I'm like, I get that.
Right.
But you still have to, like, it's changed. It's evolved. And you have to kind of change with the times. There's like Dom Irrera still performs here. Jimmy Schubert still performs. Those guys were back when I first started all the time. The problem is this is a business now. Whereas before with Mitzi, it was a heart.
Mm-hmm.
And Mitzi just liked what she liked.
Right.
And they were used to the heart and not.
Well, the other problem with all of this is that the days you're talking about, I was literally just talking about this afternoon with somebody. I was booked, so I was on the road probably 3 weeks every month.
Of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
but like if something fell out, like if I had like if they called and said like the club burned down or whatever, I could pick up a phone on Monday and go, "Hey man, can you see is there any?" And within the next day, somebody would either switch out a comic or
Right.
I was able to get my own work
Right.
forever.
That's great.
Now, if you don't have a big agent or a
Yeah.
manager, you're not getting work on the road. You're just not.
Right. And the problem is again with the businesses, they want to sell tickets.
Right.
And people don't spend money unless they know what they're buying.
Right.
So there it used to be they had faith in the club
Right.
that they would book.
Absolutely.
And then the market got so oversaturated.
Yes.
And they started seeing tons of shit.
Yes.
Because there is a lot of shit out there, terrible, but there's also some great,
Right.
so it's hard to figure out what now these YouTube guys or people, I should say, because there's guys and girls, they'll sell tickets,
Right.
but it's the worst show you've ever seen in your life.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially when they try to do stand up
oh,
or just a public appearance.
I know.
$80 to see somebody stand on stage.
I know.
It's crazy.
But the
sell clubs sell it out
Right.
and they need the money.
Right.
The lights don't stay on because we're funny.
Well, and also what's happened is there was we had the big. I was there for the big comedy boom.
Right.
So there used to be, and I always.
And you were here in
Right.
yeah. So
but you used to work. The clubs used to the road work was Tuesday through Saturday or Wednesday through Sunday, and you made a lot of money, and every night it was full.
yeah.
Like they weren't giving away tickets.
No, they were charging.
They were charging, so they were able to pay the comics more money. But then with Comedy Central and
the
internet,
oversaturation.
people are like, why would I pay? Like in L.A. and New York, it's a different thing because you're coming to see a legendary like the Comedy Store or the Cellar. You're going to go
Sure.
spend the money, but. For most people who are going to come to, it's people, at least my demographic, people who have kids, and they have to pay for a sitter. They have to do
Exactly.
They're driving to
It's a lot.
So it's like $200 just to go out.
Mm-hmm.
You better be fucking good.
Absolutely. It better be the best fucking show you've ever seen because
Right.
you're going to be pissed.
Right.
And they're not going to spend that money again because
Right.
it's a hard-earned money.
Right.
And nobody that's why they're like, oh, I saw that person on blah, blah, blah,
Right.
whatever, and I enjoyed it, so maybe I'll spend the money here. And
Yeah.
some clubs do give free tickets out,
Oh, absolutely.
but
And
then
that hurts it too.
that hurts it real bad.
Because then people go, well, if I'm not paying, how good could it be if it's free?
Right.
How good
Right.
could it be if it's free? And it's like, there's so many comics just want to work on their stuff.
Yeah.
I literally, somebody offered, I forgot what somebody offered me a gig back east, and it was shit money. And I didn't kill this person after this was the line. Well, I know it's shit money, but it's good exposure. I'm like,
No.
okay, listen, I don't need exposure. I've been doing this for 40 years. You know what I need? I need cash.
Yeah.
I need money.
Hard
Okay,
cash.
pay me the money because I know what you're making. And
That's a whole nother thing.
yeah, and that's the other thing. But that's a problem too, though. Is then you'll get comics who will undercut,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been going on forever. This isn't new. This is
right.
this has been going on since the beginning. There's if somebody says to like you said you work at a bar, so like if a bar show says to you, like the Jersey gigs, I'm going to give you $100 and a comic walks to the producer and goes, I'll do it for 75. Well, the producer's going to go, I'm not going to give you I'm going to give him 75 and pocket the 25.
Right.
That's just the way people are.
That's the scam of the world.
Yeah. And so unfortunately, it's affected people who actually work.
Yeah.
This isn't a hobby for me and you. This is my job.
No, this is it. I don't have a day job.
Right.
I don't even think I qualify for one anymore.
Yeah.
The only thing I could do is go back to slinging drinks, but then I'd just be the evil waitress.
Oh, actually, you know what? That's a great sitcom. You and me as bitter
and
old waitresses.
bitter old waitresses. Mitzi used to call me Flo, and I was like, "You bitch."
Oh, that's well.
And I mean, if you have to Google it. But it's from Mel's Diner, and I never even seen the show I was like, bitch, who's that?
Yeah,
That crazy lady with the pencil in her hair? Like,
That's, yeah.
but she never got my name right. So when I first started, she'd be like, "Oh, I'll give that to Flo," and the managers would be like, "Who the fuck is Flo?" And like looking all over, there she is. And they're like, "Eleanor," like, and she gave me a robe, but it was for Christmas. I'm sure somebody gave it to her. I still have it, but I'm sure somebody gave it to her. The belt is missing, and it's a very nice robe, but I kept it because it's this funny gift from Mitzi. And she wrote to Flo on the front of the bag.
Aww.
And I was like, that is amazing.
Oh my God. Oh, that is such a sweet.
And so there was another time, like we had Mitzi used to fire people. You know that. Were you guys close? Did you guys get?
You know what? No. I mean,
so some people were like that. Like they just worked here.
Right.
But then some people.
Like I said, we weren't. I can't say that we were close, but I know that she looked out for me. I know that when I moved to Vegas, she wasn't happy.
She would get mad when women left her.
Right.
Well, when comics left her, especially comics she liked.
Right. And I remember saying to her, I said, I have this chance to raise my son and live in Vegas.
And make money. Steady. And stay home.
Yeah. So I know
Just
that
the key.
Yeah, she was upset about that. But, I mean, a lot of people were upset. So many people were like, "Why are you moving to Vegas?" I'm like, "I have a child."
I mean, that's the problem. Like the sacrifices that women have to make over men, obviously. Mm-hmm. Like my co-host Rick is a stay-at-home dad. Mm-hmm. His wife is the breadwinner, if you will. Like has a steady job, a normal job.
Right.
She works for E and is a producer.
Nice.
And so she does pretty well, but it's a consistent.
Right.
She has health insurance.
Oh yeah.
We gamble. We roll the dice.
Yes.
You may get a spot. You may not. You may get that show. You may not. So she's the boss. He jokes and he says she's like a 1950s husband.
Oh, that's great.
And so he's like a stay-at-home dad.
Wow.
So he does all the day stuff, and then at night he'll come do spots, but he can't go on the road and stuff. Right. So it sucks. So he kind of relates.
Relates to us. Yeah.
Which is weird, but I get it. Women, like having a kid. Right. What does your husband do?
My husband's a musician, so there's never going to be any money.
It's a double negative. That's great. A comic musician. Yeah. That's great.
And the son's a musician, so yeah.
Yes.
So never any money ever.
So only one kid.
Only one kid.
You moved to Vegas so that you could stay.
So I could raise him.
But when you were here, like who were when you started, who were your peers that you were coming up with?
Here?
Yeah.
Judy
Gold.
Judy Gold was here. I remember Joe Rogan.
Yes.
I always tell people that I used to have to follow Joe Rogan in the main room on a Saturday night. After he would do his Tigers fucking bit.
Oh, yeah.
That?
Of course.
And then
I would have flowers, no roses, no phone. Yeah.
All right.
What are you doing? Because you would do this bit about having a helmet, too. Right. And, the girls would get fucked with, just because you put unicorns on the helmet, does it make it girly? Oh, my God. That's when I would wait tables. So it's like on a loop in my head.
But Rogan was one of them too. And I would have.
He got here in '94.
Yeah, and I would have to follow him, and it was just like,
fuck.
And back then. So now you're talking 94, 95. So it was just before I moved to Vegas. We moved there in '96. There weren't a lot of women.
No, and that's why you guys stood out to me.
Yeah, and so, but you still. I mean, I didn't care. I was going to do what I did, no matter what. But having to follow that, and then have to come out and do what I did. It always took it always just
takes that extra.
Yeah. But, and I always say this too, that was some of the best experiences because
it makes you grow.
Yes.
Yeah. Because that's why I love working here, because sometimes I have to follow the biggest comics in the world or a comic that just fucking annihilates. Like you have to follow Donnell Rawlings. You're fucked.
Yeah.
But he's terrific. I mean,
but it's so important
to do that.
Mm-hmm. It's so important because it, for lack of a better word, it puts hair on your chest. It really does. You know what I mean? It really makes
you're right.
you, and so many comics, when, I relish following somebody who kills.
Yeah. And being able to do well.
Right. Because you just, if someone, like so many comics used to stay in the back of the room and hope that you'd bomb.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, okay, you know what? If you have to follow me after I bomb, you have to get out of the shit that I just gave you.
Yeah, you're in a ditch.
Yeah. So why don't you hope that I do well so then you can do well?
Exactly. Why can't people follow that wave? Like, I'll bring up Rick again. He does, he kills.
Mm-hmm.
And people hate following him.
Mm-hmm.
And there was big comics, and Rick's not like a name. He's not a household name. He's not he's not the big ticket seller. But he's the guy they put after Rogan all the time. He's the guy they put at because they know he's gonna
he'll do the
keep
job.
it up, and
he'll do the job.
Yeah. So people were complaining long ago, like, I'm not following him, don't put him on. So for about a year, they would just put him as a pop-in on the side, and they would wait for the comics that cried about him to go on, and then they put him on. Like that's crazy. Why would you not want to ride that wave? Like, if I have to follow him, I get excited.
Yeah.
He does crowd work, and that is different. That is a different beast.
Right.
But there's still a wave you could jump on.
I don't understand. Yes, I don't understand why you
follow that high.
Right. Yeah. It's not like I've
bombed after it, but whatever. You still take that risk.
Right.
You don't pussy out.
But many comics are pussies, Eleanor.
You're absolutely right. They're really sickening. But like, so you had to follow Rogan.
Right.
Who is it? Judy. I remember Mitzi would put you early though.
Yeah, because I always asked her to.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I remember because she would always be like, Carole, can you do New Year's Eve? I'm like, if I can get home before 11 o'clock. Because I'm not going to be on the roads driving home, And she always, yeah, I always went on early because even back then I was
But
lazy.
I could see you on the stool, like doing your nails during the doggy style joke. And I'm like, yes. It was like 9:30, whatever it was. But that was rare to see that at that hour,
early
language. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Because she would try to make it, especially in the main room where she would do more variety.
Right.
So like Janice Hart would open.
Janice Hart. Oh my God.
Love Janice Hart.
Oh my
but she
God.
would yell at me every time. Come here, can I talk to you for a second? Can I talk to you for a second? And I'd be like, hey, Janice, what's up? And I knew it was coming. And you can't serve drinks when I'm on. I go, Janice, you're first. You understand? You're first. The audience just got here. I have to put a drink down. Mitzi makes money on the drinks, not you. You have to calm down now. And then she would get right in my face. But you have to wait. And then when I'm done, when I do the bit, and
oh my God,
she was amazing. But she was brilliant. She was great. And then it would be maybe like an Argus. Maybe.
Okay.
And then Val Pappas.
Right.
Brilliant.
Val Pappas.
Monica Gaines.
Wow.
Excellent.
Yes.
Characters.
Yes.
Val did like variety singing, much like Janice. But and Val was great. I can remember her whole act. Carol Siskin.
Mm-hmm.
Those were like the early nice. Yeah, right.
So I was blowing this guy. Like,
Nick DiPaolo, Dom Irrera, John Mulrooney,
right?
Whatever, like that kind of mix. Sherry Shepherd, Retha Jones started mixing in. Like it was cool. I mean, like people say there wasn't a lot of women, but I remember a lot of women, and maybe it's because they stood out to me. But the lineups, Mitzi used to pepper them.
Oh, she always did. She was the first one to ever do that.
Yeah,
she really wanted to. Prove that we could do that. And so she was always. I mean, to me, she was. She was wonderful to me. So but it is.
But you were a straight hardcore comic, is what I
Right.
mean. Like the main room, she like did variety stuff and mixed it up a little bit. But to see that like early, I was like, yes. I don't know why. It just got me excited.
Well,
and it made the audience more excited.
Yeah.
To be honest, like I could sell drinks when the show's funnier.
Right.
And that's Joe Rogan always jokes and tease about how I would go through the lineup. Like the people would be like, hey, who's funny? I'm like, well, right here, you want to go to the bathroom. You're going to want to start shooting up around here. Because there was some stale
Oh, yeah.
that Mitz would throw in there. And I'd be like, fuck, how am I going to get through this?
Well, because she was very
Because she was
loyal.
good to people. Again,
she was-
it goes back to the heart.
Right.
It wasn't about tickets. Like I was her assistant for 5 years, and there was times like if she would have missed a check, to the bank, she would have lost the building.
Right.
And she mortgaged everything she could think of.
Oh,
When she sold Crest Hill, we were having a real hard time selling it. And I said, Mitz, don't get mad, but I'm going to bury a statue of St. Joseph upside down in the front yard. What? I go, St. Joseph, I'm Jewish. I go, I know, I get it. Just let me do it. She goes, don't do it. All right. So I went up,
you did it.
did it, sold 3 days later. She goes,
Wow.
I'm not converting. It was so great, but it worked.
Yeah,
I don't
wow.
know why, but
Yeah.
whatever. But I'm just saying, like, her was all heart.
Mhm.
Now it's all business.
Oh, it absolutely.
There's a fucking HR department. We're like, oh, come on.
I know it's.
Maybe I've got comics are fingering waitresses still, but they just don't report it.
Well, the reason most male comics become comedians is for the waitress pussy.
Of course.
You
Jimmy
know.
Schubert said, how do you get a comic card? Pick up a tray. I don't know if it's Jimmy's, but you never know with Jimmy.
You never know with Jimmy. But I remember there was one club in Pittsburgh. It was the Funny Bone in Pittsburgh. Whenever I would work there was this one waitress, and she would come up to me and go, do you know, and like I said, I don't remember the name. She'd go, do you know so-and-so?
Right.
Uh-huh. He's my boyfriend. And I was like, oh,
Is
honey. He has a girlfriend. You're like, the way she would go, he's my boyfriend. And I knew that this guy had a girl in every fucking city.
Sure.
But the way she would, he's my boyfriend. Yeah, because that was it. It was waitress, pussy, and cocaine back in the 80s.
Did you get any guy groupies?
Nah.
Isn't it weird how they don't do it to us?
No, they don't.
Not as much. I get some,
Really?
Yeah, I get
I'm
some.
very, well, that's exciting.
but men are just creepier nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah. We could have a whole conversation about that.
Boy. Yeah.
But I remember one time I was doing a college with actually Carol Leifer and Joy Behar. So this is early in my career. And there was a kid, I don't know if he just had the hugest crush on me. I think he was one of the students that was like running the room, but he never left my side. Like he was here the entire show. I was like, calm down.
You
Calm
gotta
down.
back up.
Calm down.
I know these are awesome.
But calm down. But yeah, no, I was, I've been with my husband pretty much since I started stand up.
Right.
So like I tell women, like everyone wants to know if I have a Me Too story. And I'm like, no, because there's a bro rule. Like they knew I was, even though this was the most offensive thing in the world, but to them I was taken.
Right.
So they didn't want to start with me.
Right. And they probably just respected you have a strong presence.
Kinda.
And I kind of hate saying that. I'm sorry, ladies, but like
It's true.
when women are like meek and
Right.
like no one bothers me because I'll strangle them. I'll
Right.
kill someone.
Oh my God.
I'm a horrible street fighter. I
Right.
was a
I'm a
wrestler.
dirty fighter.
Right.
I'm a dirty
I'll
fighter.
hit you with a couch. Like I don't think. I'm not a smart person. I'm Irish. We fight first, think later.
Yeah,
Like
I will stab you with a fucking pen.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like right in the throat. Right in the
Yeah. Oh,
jugular,
not
just
even think
me.
about it.
Yeah. Like,
And-
I'm
and people-
sorry. Look at you squirting. Who's the squirter now? You know what I mean? Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I was raised with 6 brothers.
Right.
So
Yeah, I don't. I don't want to put down women. What?
yeah,
women
no,
have-
I that's what I'm not saying.
Yeah, no,
I feel-
but. That,
man up, bitches. No.
Exactly. Exactly that. I mean, like, I would, if anybody ever
Yeah.
like exposed themselves to me, I'd be like, put it away, or you're not going to have it anymore.
Well, I would fucking laugh hysterically and be like, "You're serious with that fucking thing?"
Right.
Yeah, like you don't be afraid of it. Mock it.
Right.
Ruin his fucking whole existence.
Right. But some women are like, oh my God, it's a penis.
What do we do?
What do we do with a penis? It's probably not even hard yet. So
yeah.
So if you do mock it, then it becomes small again, and then it's really not
watch it go
scary.
inside. Like a little turtle head.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. Like a Me Too story, I would never think you would have just because of your presence. Like to me, that's why I was attracted to you. Not that way, but I'm not going to start feeling you up in the basement. Hey, Carol.
Like that hasn't
How'd
happened.
you come up with your first bit? But yeah, right. But that's what I was going to ask. Like, as a woman, how hard is that? Like, you have a son, you raised your son,
Right.
You have to do that. What what's some advice you would give to women who go through that? Like, there's a lot of young comics. There's a girl going on at 1 a.m. that's pregnant as they come.
Oh my God.
And she's so cute and she's so good.
And she's wow.
And she's so pregnant. And I'm like, my heart breaks because I'm like, I don't want to lose her.
Right.
She's good. Her name's Rachel Mack. She's phenomenal. She's young and she's
Wow.
normal.
Yeah.
She's gonna have a baby.
I was just so determined. I really like when I look back at everything. I never took no for an answer as far as being a comic and being a woman and being
And a mother.
So one time I'm on the road with my son. He's literally in the car seat, and I go.
Wow.
I'm somewhere I think it was in Washington State, and it was a bar. I was making $200 or whatever, and I come in with my kid, and the bouncer says to me, "You can't bring the baby in here. He's a minor." And I went, do you think he's going to order a drink?
Yeah. What do you think he's going to get?
And so he was like, I'm sorry, ma'am. You can't bring the baby in. I said, well, I'm the comedian and I'm the show. So why don't you go tell your manager that you're not letting me in because I'm going home? And like 2 minutes later, the guy came out and was like, oh, I'm sorry. And I mean, that the things I did with my son.
God bless.
I mean, I literally would, I put it at the Pittsburgh Funny Bone, the first place I went with him when he was an infant. And I always assumed that the other comic would watch my baby. So nobody was watching him. And so I asked the bouncer, this pierced and tatted ape, to watch my son.
Obsessed with you. Yeah.
And so I go and do my set, and I'm still breastfeeding. So, like, I'm waiting for them to start leaking. I go running upstairs to the office where he was with the baby.
That's commitment, people.
Yes. And I walk in. I'm thinking now the kid's already been sold to white slavery. You
of
know
course.
what I mean? And this is such a sweet story because I walk in, and so here's this monster, and he has my son in the car seat, and he's doing this. And he's rocking the car seat. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? He goes, oh, he's crying, and I didn't want to take him out of his car seat, so I was rocking him. like this monster.
God bless him.
It was like the things that I did. Like I look back now, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I got away with that shit.
But it was here every night, too. Like, yeah. I don't know if you remember Kim Tavares.
Yes.
Okay, Kim Tavares had a son, Cameron Torrey, who's now doing stand-up. And both his parents are comics. But Kim worked here more. Mm-hmm. Joe was always on the road doing movies and stuff. And so Kim would come in with Cameron. She'd be like, can you guys watch him? So the waitresses would take turns watching Cameron. Sometimes the comics would come back. So he basically grew up in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Poor kid.
Oh, yeah.
And now he's back doing stand-up. Yeah. And every time he comes in, he's like, I'm 25. I'm like, no one likes you. I don't need to age me like that, but I get it.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's like, a lot of the comics would bring their kids. Lydia Nicole would bring her daughter.
Yeah.
Like that, and we'd be like, just in the kitchen, like give her a book. Well, the comics will, the waitresses will pay attention. The bartenders are back here.
I was lucky because my husband would watch him. So I don't think I ever brought him here. I don't.
Oh, smart. Yeah. But your husband's a musician, so he works nights too then.
Well, he was he was doing a day gig at the time.
Okay.
I did remember one time I brought him backstage to Crazy Girls. The first time. And he was
he's piling.
That's exactly how he looked. And they would call, obviously they were wearing their robes. But they were
he's like give me some.
But they were all in full makeup, and they all came up to him, and they all kissed him. So he was covered like in this red, and he walked out like, I really like those girls, Mom. I was like, okay.
I bet you do, you little shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I never brought him. I never brought him to any of this stuff, really. One time, I brought him to Houston with me. I used to take him like up until he was about 9 months old. I took him on the road with me. Yeah. So I'm in Houston, and we used to do this little party trick where we would say, "Hey, Lane, where's your dick?" And my kid would grab himself. It was a cute little thing we used to do.
Love it.
Right. So I'm in Houston, and I'm doing my show, and one of the comics brings him up after the show, and I introduce him. I'm still there. I'm getting ready. I said, "This is my son." And everyone's like, "Oh, because comics.
Sure.
Anything for an applause break. Bring the kid up." So
look at this.
So one of the comics yells, "Hey, show him the party trick." So he's sitting on it. So I go, hey, Lane, where's your dick? And he grabs himself, and everyone's, this is so funny. And I think the line I used to end with, well, if that's the worst thing that, that my son does in my life, I've done a great job. Good night. And everyone's like, ah!
Yeah.
Next day, I get a phone call in the condo from my manager. What did you do to your son last night? Some person
got offended.
Some person who was in the audience told her friend what I had done. And the friend threatened to have my son taken away from me.
Oh, my God.
She wasn't even at the show. There was a cop at the show because they had to have a cop in Houston, like at all the shows. I did not. I mean,
what did you do to your son? God, I hate nosy people.
Yeah. What did you do to your son?
And today you might have been yelped out of existence. Like me and my mom joke about that. She's like, honey, the way they call child services, she goes, I saw a story on the news. They told me what this lady did. And I said, I've done that. I've done that more than once.
Mm-hmm. They actually hid my son. Because we weren't sure if the cops were gonna come in.
Oh, I thought you meant like as a prank to you. That would be amazing.
No.
Like, where's my handbag? Oh yeah, where's my son?
Where's my son? No, the manager of the club hid him in his office because they were worried that they were gonna come take him.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is some crazy shit.
And I actually found the phone number of the woman who complained, and I called her.
Yeah,
I actually, because she goes, she was Southern, and she was like, well, we in this state, we don't,
our phony state,
we don't like stuff like that. That's offensive. And I said, let me tell you something, sweetheart.
Let me guess, you're Christian, twat.
I said, the reason I told my son about his penis is because there's creeps in the world that would touch him because he's a little boy, and that's why I did it, you cunt.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I still don't think. I said, you could have had my son taken away from me. I lied to her. I said to her, he's already back on a plane. My husband came and got him. I said, but you could have had for what? For a joke?
Yeah.
And she, and then I cursed her out and hung up.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I see. You're a better person than me. I would have got her address. I would have been a problem. I would have caught a case on that one. Because I hate when people intervene.
For no reason.
Yeah. Like, I've seen women and nowadays more than ever people do it. But like, my mom would smack us in a supermarket.
Right.
There's 10 of us. She's a single parent. She's got to hit somebody. Somebody's getting hit.
Right.
So, now I saw a lady yell at her kid, and a woman walked over and was like, you shouldn't talk to your child like that.
Wow.
It's going to, and I was like, dude, you're going to lose your life. What are you, crazy? Because my mother would have, get the fuck out of it,
Oh, yeah.
Well, she wouldn't have said that, but she would have been like, mind your business.
Right,
she don't curse, my mom. She's a lady.
Oh, she's a lady.
Yeah, she just gave birth to 10 monsters.
Yeah, I was going to say, she must be so proud of you.
Yeah, she goes, Eleanor, you got to stop with that joke. Every time I do a joke, because I used to do a joke where I'd say, I have 9 brothers and sisters, and I walked out or something like that. But I would say, maybe if you would have swallowed once in a while, wouldn't be so crowded in here. Why do you tell people I do that? I go, no, you're missing the joke.
You didn't do that, Mom. That's why I'm saying that. Your mom. I have to meet your mom. She's sounds like
so cute. I'll bite her face off. Yeah, she hung up on me to make dinner for my brother. So, my elderly brother. But so wait, okay. So now you're here, and you moved to Vegas.
Yes.
How long did you stay in Vegas?
10 years.
Wow,
10 years.
That's great.
If you ask my son where he grew up, he'll say Vegas. Because he was born at St. Joseph's in Burbank here.
Okay.
We moved here. We moved away when he was 4. We stayed till he was 14, and then we moved back to New York.
Okay.
Yeah. So Vegas was great. Vegas, I would go back to Vegas in a second, if they paid me.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so many comedy clubs in Vegas because the entertainment,
right?
It's so much cheaper to have a comic.
Oh my God.
Than to have people flipping around or whatever they do over there. And then also, so you were Vegas 10 years, then you went back to New York?
Went back to New York, and there was still only one woman on a show.
Okay.
And it had changed so much. And Sharippa used to help book me, like he was trying to help me book and everything. And then, he became famous and, that happens.
Well, he got out of there. Thank God.
He did.
Because he really wanted out.
Oh, I know he did.
Yeah.
We ended up, like, this is really interesting. We went, he was a year younger than me. So we went to the same high school.
Oh, Okay.
I was the cheerleader. He was the thug.
Oh, big Sharippa. Yeah.
But but he's my what I call guardian angel is the wrong thing, but he's like my lucky, because if it wasn't for him, I would not have done these 10 years in Vegas.
Right. He got you on.
He was the entertainment director then.
Right. For Crazy Girls, but
Right.
where was the other show, or was that in the
Well,
Riviera?
no. So he was the entertainment director of the Riviera.
Mhm.
So this is, I've been very lucky with people because I went when it used to be the Improv.
Yes, I remember he had the sign in his office.
Right.
He used to shit on the Improv.
Right. So and Bud would never headline me.
Oh,
He would never headline. So I always
because of here, or just because
he just wouldn't headline.
okay.
me.
Because sometimes
but
controversial
he
comedy
just,
store back in the day with Mitzi.
Yeah,
and him.
no. But he just wouldn't. He was
Right.
just And I'm telling you, the day that they took it over, my manager got a phone call and said, "I won't put Carole in the headline." That's what a type of man Sharippa is.
Yeah. Sharippa, one of my favorite people.
He's a good boy.
I would send him comics, and he'd be like, "You got to stop with this fucking comic." I know a great thing was one time I went with two of my friends, two waitresses here. One of them started doing comedy, and she was terrible. When I tell you terrible.
Okay.
And I'm not good at lying
Mm.
just about that. Like I can't
Right.
pretend. I'm not gonna fake it for you. And she would be like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "Just don't ask me. I'm too jaded." That was my thing.
Right.
So then Sharippa got us rooms because it was somebody's birthday, maybe the other girl, Anna, or mine, I don't know. But Sharippa got us rooms. So we were partying in Vegas, and she said to him, "I'm a comic." And he goes, "Oh, really?" He goes, "Eleanor, is she funny?" And I looked at Steve, and I was like, fuck, this bitch just put me on the spot in front of Sharippa. And I went, "She's new." And he looked at her, and he went, "Eleanor just told me you're not funny." I was like, "You motherfucker."
That's great. Well,
He wasn't wrong.
he would tell comics that when you work there, he would, because it was always an hour show, and he's
Yeah.
like, "All right, you're doing 20, not 19, not 21. You're doing 20."
Yeah, Doug Stanhope told me that. Not 11:04, not 11:05. Like,
Oh yeah, and there was a friend of mine who he got into it with Steve, and he wasn't performing there. He was coming to visit me,
oh Jesus.
and he just got into it with. To this day, when I see Steve, he goes, "How's your friend fucking Steven?" I'm like,
Oh yeah, if it's a negative thing, he brings it right up.
up.
Ari Shafir and Steve Ranazizi, I sent them. They both got banned from the Riviera. I have no idea what they did. I have no idea.
Oh, let me think. What could they have possibly done? Jesus.
But I mean, Mike, Rick, I mean, there's a million people that would go there that were crazier than these
Right.
two at the time.
Right.
Like now I get it, but back then they were like they were door guys here. They don't even know what they did.
Yeah.
And I'm
Well,
like, yes, you do. But I think they were stealing drink tickets. I'm not sure.
Wow.
It could have been anything.
I had one time. So when I was doing Crazy Girls, it was Crazy Girls
Mm-hmm.
with your comedian Carole Montgomery.
Right.
So this guy who was a friend of I'm so bad with names now, but he started calling Steve and leaving messages on his office phone about wanting to work there, but like leaving messages, and they were getting nastier and nastier and nastier.
Oh,
and nastier.
Jesus.
And one of the times he goes, Carole Montgomery told me to call you.
Oh, don't
So
do that.
So yeah. First of all, people know this about me. You can always say to me, "Did you recommend somebody?" Because I don't recommend anybody. If I'm going to recommend somebody, I'm going to pick up the phone and go, "Use this person."
Same.
So Steve calls me and starts screaming at me, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? I don't even know this guy. He was a friend of a friend."
Yeah.
And I said, "Steve, look out the window. What does it say on the sign?" He goes, "Carole Montgomery." I said, "Yeah, anybody could have just said, 'Oh, I know Carole Montgomery.'" I said, "If I haven't told you
that
this person is."
Yeah.
So
A comic from New York did that to me a couple of weeks ago. He came out and he went to the booker here and said, "I work with Eleanor and she recommended me." And the booker looked at him and said, "If Eleanor recommended you, I'll give you a guest spot right now." Because he knows me. and he knows I will call him, and I don't do it often, but I will say, hey, see this comic.
Right.
Or don't see, or he'll text me, do you know this person?
Right.
And I'll give the truth.
Right.
So I was so mad at that person. And they were like, I hope I didn't offend you. And I just never responded.
Good.
I'll just, that person doesn't exist. Like,
No.
I can't, don't ever take someone's name like a vouch. I'm from South Philadelphia. Vouching is a big thing for us.
Exactly.
It is an East Coast, like,
yeah, you
it
don't.
is a big thing.
Yeah, and so anyone watching, please do not tell anybody that you know me, because I will. I even say that to my son. You don't know me.
No, you don't know me.
You don't know me.
So now you're back in New York, and you started what? By the way, congratulations, because that Showtime show is
thank you.
excellent.
Thank you.
Seriously,
And
excellent.
congratulations to you for doing The Degenerates.
The Ringers, the
Ringers.
Degenerates. I'm hoping to get on this year.
I
but
knew
the
it was
Ringers,
one of them. The Ringers.
But you know what that is? That's God whispering in your ear that I'm going to get the Degenerates this year. Hey. But yeah, I like the Degenerates too. But it's called the Ringers with Bill Burr.
Oh, okay.
But still, it's a short whatever. That's killer. I was thrilled just to be a part of it. But what you did was something extraordinary because one, people don't hire women as much.
No.
And we constantly have, are you funny? Like as a woman, are there other funny women?
I don't usually like funny women, but I like you.
No, thank you.
That's
I love when people say, I go to shows all the time and I never laugh at women, but you made me laugh.
You made me laugh. Go fuck yourself. Exactly.
Go to more shows. Pay attention. There's plenty of fucking funny women out there.
Absolutely.
But what you did, like, and then add age into it, and we really get pushed to the side.
Yeah.
So like I've showcased for people, and I'm in my 40s, and people like, and I don't care. I'll say it out loud. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
And people come up to me, wow, you were terrific. Thanks, man. Agents, manager, all the time. How old are you? And I'm like, I'll be dead after this conversation. It's fine. Don't worry about me.
How old are you?
Like they're like literally in shock.
Right.
Do people age? Like whatever.
Well, I'm going to be 62.
Oh, and I love that you say that. And I also listen to Carole King's In My Living Room.
Right.
And she starts out with, 'cause I'm 62.
Oh,
it's my favorite.
Oh, wow. I'll have to listen to it.
Yeah.
No, I what happened was when I hit 50, I went, oh, shit. For
because the calls stop coming.
Yeah, and the work.
It's almost like we pass.
Oh, my God. It's
heartbreaking.
I wrote about it on a blog, and basically I said, when you watch Harry Potter, you go, wow, that invisibility cloak is so cool, and then you turn 50, you're like, oh, there it is. So around my mid 50s, I started to develop and direct solo shows. Okay. And because I do like being on the other side too.
Yeah.
And I directed Jim Florentine's solo show and a couple of other comics from New York. And so I was starting to do that, but then I always wanted to go back to stand-up. Then around 58, I want to say, probably about 40 years ago, my mother-in-law, which that's a whole other podcast, she had a stroke. So I didn't want to go on the road. And my husband was just starting to work on a Broadway show because he works on Broadway. So I said, I'll get a job. So I ended up working behind the scenes at a music agency that just wanted to start doing comedy. Oh, okay. So for about 6 months. And this was the turning point in my life because I was working hard for these comics and I'm like, why am I working fucking hard for not myself?
Right.
And so basically I was there for about 6 months. I had a great time. The person who ran the agency, the head of the company, his company, loved him to death.
Great.
And then I left with all this great knowledge. And then I was doing a podcast with a couple of other older female comics. And I remember being on the phone with my husband. I was walking to the train station. And I went, we had the best time. We laughed. We told jokes. Women listen. Mm-hmm. You say something. I say something. There's none of this running over that guys do. I think this should be a show. And then I started writing a list of all the women I knew over 50. And it was close to 200 women.
Wow.
Yeah. And so from there, I mean, we did the live show. We met with Showtime in December. We did a showcase in February.
Which big ups to Showtime. For
Oh,
taking a
Showtime
shot.
is
Yeah.
I can't even.
Brilliant.
They had the balls to do this.
Mhm.
I keep waiting for the call. Like, we made a mistake.
No.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Comics will always understand when I say that.
We wait for the other shoe to drop.
Right.
We live in the negative.
We
Yes.
absolutely do. And so the fact that they went, we get this, was amazing.
For an exec, yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, and so that's how it happened. And then we
Wow.
did the first special, you know, with Fran Drescher and Lynn Koplitz and Vanessa Hollingshead, Kerry Louise, and Lunell.
Vanessa was great. Lunell's great. I know all of them.
Yeah.
Vanessa, I only knew of.
Right.
I never met her.
Right.
So good.
Yeah.
Lynn, she's terrific.
Yeah, and Kerry Louise.
Carrie Louise, I didn't know at all.
Yeah.
But terrific.
They all.
It was great to watch.
Thank you. Because my favorite thing about, like, I'm very cocky about the show because I always say that I can leave, like for the live show, I can leave because I know the girls are going to do their job. So I
Yeah.
don't have to worry.
Yeah.
You know, and there's people that want to be on the show and I'm like, you don't understand. This isn't about just your age and being a woman.
Right.
This is about the years of experience that women,
Absolutely.
you know, that you can just
Do a job.
go out, hit your mark, and do your 10 minutes and fucking crush.
Yeah.
And that's, you know.
I know. I didn't know Fran did stand up. Fran Dress.
She had
Dresser?
yeah,
How you
Fran
say it?
Drescher. We
Drescher.
actually talked about
always
it, and
mess
she
it up.
said, "Carol," she goes, "You know, I haven't done stand up, but you know,
She's
used to
so fucking funny.
She was great, and she would sit like when she's on the Tonight Show, and she'd go, "Johnny, I'm going to tell you a story," and she'd do
Yeah.
that, and so she wrote her own material. She co-wrote it with her ex-husband, who they created The Nanny. She crushed. Now
Yeah.
the second show is Caroline Ray, Carol Leifer,
Great.
Thea Vidal, Tammy Pescatelli, Julie Scotti, and me.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's
Tammy's one of my favorites too.
Tammy's
Yeah,
blowing
old school.
up big time.
But see, that's the thing. It's like she's still kicking ass. She's still out there
Right.
working. Like, and people, because she's 50, like it's
Right.
like she fucking died.
Right.
She's still funny. A guy in his 50s,
Right.
they still buy a fucking ticket to go see.
Right.
Most of these comics don't hit. Men comics aren't hitting until they're in their 50s.
You know how many guys have come up to me and go, "Why don't you do men of a certain age?" It's because that's the whole fucking business.
Yeah.
Seriously, you really think Bill Burr needs my fucking help to do a show about his
Right.
age?
Bill's 50. Rogan's 50.
Gaffigan's 50.
Gaffigan's in his 50s. But these guys, Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, I don't know if Tom's 50, but he might still be in his
Right.
early 40s. But
Right.
whatever, I'm saying they're not hitting until this age now. Because it's so hard, and all of these guys are great, and they
Right.
have a fucking ton of years under their belt,
Right.
and aren't hitting until a certain age. So why are we dead at a certain age?
Well, because that has to
So
do
I
with,
think it's great.
thank you. I'm hoping that, we have other ideas for it. We want to do it as a documentary. We want to,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not just about the women doing stand-up. It's all about the stories.
Sure.
You know, like when you were talking about with the babies.
Being
and
a
stuff.
mom. Fucking
Well,
doing
Carrie,
that.
the story that Carrie says, is she goes that somebody
Yeah.
called her. She said she was in the booking room, and they said, "Oh, we just had a fallout." And so the assistant said, "Well, why don't you call Carrie Louise?" "Oh, no, she's got kids. She won't be able to do it." And then he goes, "What about so-and-so?" "Oh, yeah, he just had a baby. We'll use him."
That's what I mean. The double standard
The
is
double standard is ridiculous.
unbelievable. And the fact that you did that and then now created this for like
Thank
the
you.
second leg of the tour, if you will.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? I
Well,
mean,
you
you've
could- you
never
know,
not kicked ass.
I would like you to do the show sometime, too.
Sure, I'm almost 50.
Yeah.
I'm up there.
Okay,
I'm getting there.
good.
I don't, like I said, if I make it to 50.
No, but because once I decided, because I have a lot of friends in their 40s too.
Mm-hmm.
Once I opened it up to the 40s, there's like 500 women. We could do a series for 10
Oh,
years.
sure. Yeah. That's
10
right.
years, and
Like-
not even blink. And the stories will all be different.
Mm-hmm. Every story's different. I mean, I always feel like I cheat because I didn't have kids. I didn't do
Right.
the, the real route. I kind of like people always say, all right, like I was doing Bert Kreischer's podcast and he goes, so you wake up, you have no kids, you have no responsibility. What's your day like? And I go, glorious. Like, what the fuck? What is that?
That's amazing.
Yeah, I might have cheated, but whatever. And I
Yeah.
started late. I didn't start till I was 35.
Right.
So now I'm 13 years in, and
But you know what? It's interesting. Like I didn't want. I say that I want a big family on my stage, but on stage, but I'm lying. But I mean, I wanted my kid. I was very happy with my kid, but I didn't do military stuff. Like they always wanted me to go overseas and do military.
I
tours.
want to do that so bad.
Really?
My dad's
that's
a
good
Marine.
To know. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll let people.
My whole
know
family's in the service.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a great thing to do. It's a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
I didn't leave until he was 18 because I wanted to make sure he was okay. I didn't want to leave him.
Of course.
And by the way, if
But
you
I
ever
would
want
do
your
that.
teenage son to talk to you, go 6,000 miles away. Because I literally, they had free phones. The servicemen could call their family for free. So I'm like, I'm going to call my son because I hadn't spoken to him, and I'm a Jewish mother. I pick up the phone, and he's like, so don't be mad. That's the first thing he says to me, 6,000 miles away. I'm like, what happened? He goes, well, I got drunk and ate a bad hot dog, so I threw up. And I was like... And he literally, the time limit is supposed to be 10 minutes. I'm on the phone with him for 15 minutes. I have to get off the phone. There are men that are fighting for our freedom that want to talk to their moms. But Mom, I threw up.
That's amazing.
That's my son.
I have another brother, a younger brother, my only younger brother, that he drinks, and lately, because he's in his 40s now, he's older, he can't handle it. And he's been throwing up, and he won't clean it up properly. And my mom's like, comes down, and she's like, "Really, really? In your 40s, you're still not able to clean up after you throw
So
up?"
your mom has to clean?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Go ahead, have boys. Go ahead,
have boys. Don't have sex. Seriously, it's not worth it.
Pull out.
Pull out.
No, we tease.
Spray all over the stomach. Just don't have.
Or the face. It's good for the skin.
Very good for the skin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what I use.
Yes.
Anyway,
too.
You're absolutely amazing. Thank you.
I wish I could
so
stay
much.
longer, but I have to get my car.
I know. That's
but
what
can
I'm
I
like,
come back sometime?
anytime?
Okay.
Anytime. Because I
mean,
want Rick to meet. Like I literally, like he goes, "Oh yeah, you love that lady." Like he doesn't even know because he's been
You're
here.
so
a long
sweet.
time,
I'm like, this is. I so needed this. This
so
is like,
excited.
Thank you. This
Like,
is the greatest.
Honestly, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. Women of a Certain Age on Showtime. Absolutely fantastic.
And the second one is coming out on March 14th.
Did you film it already?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
More. It's called More Funny Women.
More funny
women of a certain age.
And there's a ton of us, guys. Don't fuck around and pretend.
And
Shut
just so
up.
you know, one of the things I love about all the shows that I do is everyone is different.
Yeah.
Because the thing I used to get when I was coming up is all you do is talk about your periods. I said, that's really interesting because if I look at any millennial comic, he's talking about jerking off in his mother's basement and smoking weed, but that's okay, right?
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's not normal to bleed. That's what my brothers told me.
Well, I don't bleed anymore, so I'm even funnier now.
God, I can't wait for that. Let me rub on. I need to get that. I want that thing to stop.
Oh yeah.
Go away.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait.
I don't even remember.
Close it up.
I don't even know what a period was.
I'm
That's
allergic to mine, guys.
Yes. All right. I do have to go because I have to pick up my car in 2 minutes.
Plus, the guys just signaled us. You're not allowed to talk about your periods. All right.
Yeah, we're
thank you,
talking
guys.
about Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening. Rate, subscribe. This comes out. So we'll promote that March 14th, you said?
Yeah.
Women of a Certain Age. Check. More funny women of a certain age. Check it out. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for
You have something
listening.
to promote, Josh? Or are you cool? He'll come in and promote. Thank you.